Howdy folks, I'm Swift, Silvery Checkerspot, silently sneaking through shady spaces.
I'm Amber.
And here are more shady spaces for us to sneak through because we're really a cat burglar butterfly and we have stolen the rarest of diamonds, the crown jewels, and replaced them with fakes, glass fakes. So, come for me, Britain. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Helping My Girlfriend Sell Her Clothes? My girlfriend, a 20-year-old, wants me, a 19-year-old, to sell her unwanted clothes by buying them off of her and then selling them myself, whether it's profitable or not. I don't know clothes, so I don't know. She needs the money ASAP because she bought a bunch of stuff with Klarna and now she needs to pay it back and wants my help. She gets a sizable allowance every week, about $100, to spend on whatever she wants, and she blows it all on makeup and clothing. I get $0 allowance, as expected. I pay rent to my parents, essentially living paycheck to paycheck, while also having some debt on my credit cards due to having an emergency pet healthcare crisis. I told her, like how she says it's not my place to tell her how to spend her money, it's also not my place to help her when she spends that money irresponsibly. Now she's angry at me. Am I the jerk? Edit, I've been on Reddit for the past 20 minutes and I've seen enough comments to know that this is a red flag. My girlfriend is still mad at me and is quite common behavior from her. She is perfectly aware of how unreasonable she is being, but she told me that at least I'm aware about it. And she doesn't do anything about it though. I put up with it because I'm a huge pushover, because every time I say something negative or criticize her, I'm quote unquote lecturing her, and I'm also being rude, and I'm not being a gentleman. My girlfriend wants me to speak very softly to her, which I'm always trying to improve on, being more soft-spoken and more gentlemanly. But she's very crass and, in her own words, just a bee. I've tried letting her know that, but she tells me that I have to deal with it, and that if I loved her, I wouldn't judge. Also, sorry, I forgot to include this, but her parents won't let her work part-time while at the university because they believe that they can provide everything, and her parents will not budge on this. This is the one thing which she absolutely isn't her fault, and I'm sorry for not mentioning it now because it seems like I purposely left it out to make her sound even more lazy, when she also does have controlling parents. I think that it's her parents spoiling her that makes her kind of intolerable sometimes. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. This is an unreasonable ask, and honestly, OP, I think it's time to reevaluate the relationship. It does not. I'm glad you're recognizing the red flags now. This seems like she is not being a good partner and like she is being emotionally manipulative, and like it's not fair to expect to saddle your partner with financial burden because you are bad at managing your money. I understand that she's in debt, but she's not doing anything to actively get herself out of debt, and she's not just asking for a loan. She's asking OP to buy clothes off of her, and then he can sell them if he wants to and probably lose money on them, and
Yeah.
that's not fair.
No, it's really not fair, especially someone who's living paycheck to paycheck,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it sounds like she is from a well-off family
Mm-hmm.
and he is not from a well-off family. And that, there are some comments that I'll read eventually, but basically her parents, could afford to pay off this credit card, but she feels bad about asking them for money. And the thing is, like, she kind of put herself in this mess
Mm-hmm.
and she needs to figure out how to get herself out of this mess. And, burdening OP who's already in debt with more debt, I think is not the right way to go about it.
Right. Well, and also it might be different if she was like trying to do an overhaul of her finances. Not what she's asking, but if she was trying to get financial help from OP one time while she works her way out. But it seems like she has no plan. She's just going to keep overspending,
Mm-hmm.
and like again, it just doesn't seem like she values OP as a partner, but as an ATM.
Yeah, and that's really what it feels like. She kind of wants to have him, pay off her debts and stuff like that. I also want to point out this verse here. I've tried letting her know that, but I also got the deal, but she also says I have to deal with it and that if I loved her, I wouldn't judge. So the thing is this. You should always work towards becoming the best version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to be a jerk to other people and be like, that's my personality. I'm a jerk to other people. No, that's a character deficiency you don't get to be a jerk and claim it's your personality, right?
And you can love someone and dislike their behavior. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure you've heard the classic, I love you, but I don't like you very much right now, that
Yeah.
parents will often say to their kids. Sometimes people you love act like jerks, and you can still love them fully and deeply, but be very dismayed and upset with their behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it is not okay to mistreat someone and then be like, well, you can't judge me for that because, or you don't love me. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
You should be able to treat your partner with respect. And if you have to be, well, that's not love. You don't love me if you judge me. No, no. You're just trying to absolve yourself of guilt.
Yeah. Well, it's really just a terrible perspective here, and I think that seems like a very spoiled person, and that maybe OP might consider finding a new partner who
Mm-hmm.
isn't going to treat them poorly like this, unless she makes huge strides in improving herself, right? But it doesn't sound like she has any desire to improve upon herself at
Mm-hmm.
all, and that's really sad, right? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Dismal Duckling says she's a jerk. If you are refusing to help her package the items that she sold or refusing to help take the items to the post office, that would be a jerk behavior. She is trying to offload all of the labor on you. Why wouldn't she just ask you for financial help? It would be up to you to help her financially, but this is such a weird, convoluted deal for you to pay her Klarna back and for you to be stuck with clothes that she doesn't want and you don't want. Either way, you are young, and there are great people out there who are better with their money. And Opie replies, she wants me to buy her clothes at what she evaluates them at, and then sell them myself knowing that I'll get nothing back. Meanwhile, she'll get to pay her debt. I would have to take money out on my credit card to do so, and I don't want to. So I've got the hint that I most likely will tell her that. And Hello Silly People says, how much are we talking about? Can she not put her allowance towards the payments? And Opie replies, she gets an allowance every week. Tomorrow, she owes Klarna $185 and she has $60. I told her that she should tell her parents to cover her. And she says that she feels too guilty to ask them for more money. I didn't say this, but my head was miming, well, why did you spend the money that you didn't have then? She showed me a list of what she had bought, and all of it was makeup. And I get annoyed because she was quite entitled to ask for my money when I'm barely getting by. Meanwhile, my girlfriend very leisurely drops money on herself. I am really happy for her that she enjoys her shopping and spends eagerly and shows them off to me, but my life is such that every cent that I earn goes into rent, food, or bills. I also kind of want to point out that maybe she's worried that her parents will, basically limit her money for the next week.
Yeah.
Like, oh, if they have to pay an extra, $100 now, that she's not going to get to have her next week's
Right. They
allowance.
might start budgeting for her and should rather just have someone bail her out.
Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be surprised because she seems like a kind of manipulated
Mm-hmm.
individual. So maybe she knows the consequences are going to be her parents cracking down on her.
Mm-hmm.
And Luxifer Morningstar says, pushover, she's training you to be a simp. Looks like she's winning because you seem to have lost your backbone. And OP replies, I agree. I think it's because I see other traits in her that are so good that I haven't seen in previous relationships. And I'm too scared to believe that there are millions of people out there in the world. I mean, I don't know if that's you can train your partner to be a simp, mind you, but I do think like the thing is that if she is training him to be a wallet, or if she views him as a wallet, that's not a great place to be, right?
A relationship needs to be founded on mutual respect.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very clear that there's an imbalance of respect in this relationship where OP respects her as a person and she does not respect him as a person. That is not a good relationship. That is not a healthy relationship.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know if she doesn't treat him like a person or doesn't treat him with some level of respect, but I mean, yeah, in this particular case, it doesn't feel like it, right?
Well, she does not showing him the level of respect you would expect out of a partner.
Yeah,
There's some very she's treating him as a means to an end rather than an end in and of himself in a
yeah,
lot of cases.
yeah,
Maybe not everything, but doing that even in a few instances is a sign that she's just out for herself and he's more of a convenience.
yeah. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Would I Be the Jerk If I Don't Cover Up for My Neighbor's Husband? Using a throwaway so I don't dox my main. So I'm a 35-year-old female and I love where I live. I love my neighbors, a male and a female, late 30s, maybe early 40s, with 2 kids. They're really great people and I'm lucky to live next door to them. They've given us fresh baked brownies and we've given them strawberries from our garden. It's a great relationship. They have asked for a few concessions before, and I obliged no problem. The issue is now that they have another problem, and I don't know if I should comply or not. All relevant info, I'm kind of a hippie, and I love being barefoot. I always have. So when I'm on my own property, as often as the weather will allow it, I am barefoot. It may seem strange, but at this stage of my life, I don't care. We, the neighbors and I, are both outside quite a bit. Our backyards are conjoined and our kids are friends. It's been my dream to have a garden of my own that I tend to in a sundress and barefoot, so I'm out there every single day. The question: my neighbor, the female, saw me outside, barefoot, walking down my driveway. We say hi and she asked if it hurt, pointing to my feet. Fair question, I'm on pavement. So I laughed and I told her no, I'm used to it. Then she said, wouldn't you be more comfortable with your shoes on? Again, this is a question that I've heard many times before, so I gave her the standard, I know, right? It seems like it, but nope. I actually don't like wearing shoes. I'm thankful that it's summer and I can finally be free. That's when she said something a bit weird. She said that they were a bit distracting and went back inside. I was confused, so I call my bestie, who thinks that my neighbor, male, may be into feet, and that's why the female is calling them distracting. I don't know. But if so, my immediate thought is that I should cover up, but now I'm conflicted. It's my body, it's my property, and it should be my choice. But also, I love my neighbors and my neighborhood, so maybe I should just concede for the sake of peace. All right, folks, what do you think?
I think maybe the friend is unnecessarily jumping to conclusions here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not sure that it's exactly what's going on here. But even if that is the case, OP is well within her right to walk around barefoot in her own yard.
Yeah.
And you should not be forced to cover up just because your neighbor is not comfortable with it. Like, neighbor can just look somewhere else when you're out and about. Like,
Yeah.
if they were uncomfortable with wearing a sleeveless top or something like that, you don't have to cover up your shoulders. Like, you are allowed to control how you dress. You are not allowed to control how other people dress.
Well, I mean, and I think OP is thinking about this kind of in a backwards way, right? Like, if the neighbor wanted them to dress in full Victorian garb,
Mm-hmm.
right, would they be required to do that? No, of course not, right? Like, oh, oh, I'm uncomfortable with your shoes today. Maybe it's your ankles tomorrow, right?
Right, yeah, because the ankles were scandalous there for a while.
And that's the problem I have, is that this seems like if OP has been slowly giving concessions, then how many more concessions are they going to give, right? Like, it seems like the neighbors come along every so often and are like, oh, can you change this? Oh, can you change that? And I'm wondering, just because of OP's personality here, if they are slowly like eroding away their own pleasures for the sake of their neighbors, right?
Right. I mean, it's good to care about other people,
Mm-hmm.
but you should not put their preferences over your own comfort.
Mm-hmm. And because in the comments, OP does kind of get into it that they would actually consider, like, if their neighbor was bothered by their shoulders, they would actually consider covering up their shoulders by this, right?
Right, which I find, I mean, again, it's a nice thing that OP wants to be accommodating, but that is taking it to a ridiculous
Yeah,
level.
you don't have to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. You really don't. And in this particular case, OP doesn't have to keep making concessions to make other people comfortable in their lives. Like, sure, it's good. You shouldn't go out of your way to offend people or make people upset or anything like that. But you existing and being comfortable and obeying the laws of the land, having your feet uncovered, for instance, is not hurting them, right? And if
Right.
this is something that really truly bothers them, like Amber said, they can go somewhere else while OP is outside with their shoes off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, like you said, I think the friend is kind of overreacting. I'm not sure what the deal here is. I just think that maybe, given that the neighbors already asked them for a few concessions here, that they might just be controlling people who are, just interested in, controlling everything in the neighborhood, where they're like, well, we're just going to kind of mold people into what we want them to be.
Because there are people who are just weirded out by people going around barefoot.
Yeah.
And there's not necessarily anything sexual about it. Again, I'm not saying there is or isn't, but sometimes people just like find it weird when people go around barefoot, and it's not their business. They don't have any right to control it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, we had a neighbor for a little while there who would go around with bare feet, and I never dreamt of being like, maybe you should cover your feet up.
Well, exactly. It would have been a ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk? I asked the neighbors to move their little farm stand because people are stealing from my garden. Before anyone says, just build a fence, we can't afford it right now, and no HOA. So my neighbor set up one of the little pantries/farm stands where people can take items that they grew in their garden, pantry stuff, donated stuff. In theory, it's a great idea, especially in a time when an American life is pretty terrible and people are struggling to make ends meet, my family included. The problem is that people have started coming into my yard to pick things out of my garden, and I've put up signs saying not to do it. I've installed a rabbit fence around the garden, and I've angled a tarp so you can't see what's there from the road. People just hold their kids over the fence and pick tomatoes and beans or jump over it. I ended up getting into an argument with a lady over it, and I yelled, "Hey, stop, those are not for you to take." And she and her kid moved faster and then tried to run away. I cut up to her and asked her what her problem was, and she turned it into, "How dare I swear in front of her child?" Why was I so angry? Am I really that upset over a couple of tomatoes? I said that I'm upset because you're stealing them from me. So the next day I approached my neighbor and I asked if maybe they could move it to the other side of their driveway so it's next to the other neighbor's house. They don't have a garden out front, and they have said at least not until the end of the season. I asked if they could make a larger sign, talk to people, and just do something. Well, they were like, "Can you really not afford to share?" And I said they aren't taking my zucchini because they're starving. They're taking my tomatoes because they want them. They said that I'm going to have to learn how to live with it for now, and we can talk about the solution together that will benefit the whole community afterwards. I said that I do not care about a solution that benefits the whole community. I care about a solution that stops people from stealing from me. So last night it happened again, a man in his 50s, and I sprayed him with a hose. He starts yelling at me, and after a minute or so, the neighbors come out yelling at me too. People have posted on the neighborhood board to be careful if they come by because I'm a jerk. The neighbor says that I'm scaring people away from the community resources, and I told them that I'm going to continue until he does something about the thieves who feel entitled to my garden. I feel like I'm losing my mind here. Am I the jerk for asking them to move it? Am I the jerk for being mad that people are stealing from me? This is food for my family. First of all, thank you for all the responses. I got some good ones. I'm happy that so many of you live in places where the police will do anything about this. But this isn't really the way it is where I'm living. Cops here would not care if I sent them a video of someone picking from my garden. They would laugh in my face. Be thankful if you live in a place where the police are useful. And it looks like the signs are the best option for now. Going to make signs indicating heavy use of pesticides and repeating that they are stealing foods from the mouths of hungry children. I don't know why the signs we put up already aren't enough. Maybe more will help. I'm not sure if they will or not. I will also scour Craigslist for free fencing or similar items. Hopefully that pans out. All right, folks, what do you think?
Definitely not the jerk here. These people are literally stealing from you. It's unfortunate that the legal channels in your area don't seem like they're going to be helpful, but I don't think there's anything wrong with spraying someone with a hose when they are literally stealing your food that you need for your family out of your garden. I think OP's request was perfectly reasonable. I think the neighbor's attitude is a problem here. Like, I'm glad the neighbor is well off enough that they have resources to share and they want to help the community. But you can't assume that everyone who lives on your street has the same financial means.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are house poor. So yes, maybe they have a house, but they are also drowning in debt from owning that house. And so I feel so bad for OP. I feel like the neighbor is completely lacking in empathy here. Like, the irony of someone who is supposedly trying to help people less fortunate than themselves, when that person is living next door and all it would take is a simple moving the stand from one side of the yard to the other, that's too big of an ask.
Yeah. I mean, if I were OP, maybe I would just start cleaning out the food shed every single
Yeah.
day and being like, oh, no reason for anyone to come by here until it moves. Because, like, at that point in time, the neighbor is going to move the shed because OP's coming by and taking the food every day, right? So, I mean, I think that might be a solution that works out here. I know that maybe OP would feel bad about that, but I mean, I wouldn't, because people keep stealing their food
Right.
and they need to make up for that. And like OP is right that they are stealing food out of children's mouths, right? And if OP can't afford this, then their neighbor needs to listen to them about that. They can't just be like, can't you afford it? No, I can't. This is why I'm upset that people are stealing stuff from me, right? I'm not upset because I'm just greedy or something like that. I'm upset because I need the food that I'm growing here. That's why we have a garden type of thing, right? So I think the neighbor is being really terrible here because
Really insensitive.
yeah, really insensitive, because OP is just trying to live. They're just trying to live their life here, and they're being like, you're being greedy and selfish. And it's like, well, not more than the people who are coming into their garden to steal, right? In fact, I would say less.
Exactly. Like, you're not obligated to give away the food you're growing.
Yeah.
And so I think that again, like, it can be nice if you grow more than you need to share it. Like, that is a
Yeah.
good thing.
Oh, yeah.
But if you are growing food, like, you're not obligated to give it away. Not everyone has to be OP's neighbor and grow food for other people.
Yeah, exactly. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
Why did the potato call off from work?
Oh, I can tell you exactly why the potato called off from work, because they actually had another potato come down with even more eyes, and it was a biblically accurate potato angel. And so it was basically covered in eyes, and that sometimes the angels in the Bible would be like the angel of death, and I think the potato was afraid of that in particular.
It was fried.
It was fried. Yeah. Once the angel of potato death came by, it certainly was.
And it's National French Fry Day and also National Swimming Pool Day.
So, folks, make sure to go find yourself a pool and fill it up with ketchup and go dipping with the fries. It's absolutely necessary to enjoy Fry Day.
I don't think you need that much ketchup.
You need all of the ketchup in order to make Friday the Fry Day.
Ooh, it is Friday, isn't it? Oh, yeah. I need French fries so badly.
Yes, everyone needs French fries on Friday.
Someone please send me French fries.
And I have Mega Mint. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday, folks. Can you believe it? It's the end of the week. I can't. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on not setting yourself on fire for other people.
It's important to take care of your own needs, even when you're trying to help other people.
Exactly. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.